Hello there, guys, and welcome to our first class for the science subject. This is Teacher Krishna, and just like you know, this is a class that is part of Beehive School, and our subject is science. This is a class that is prepared for 7th grade, and we are working on week number 1. So, be welcomed, everyone, to our first class. Let's start with our presentation, and of course, let me tell you a little bit about what we are going to study today. And we are going to study lesson number 1, which is about Earth's spheres. And the ending mind for today is the following. Characterize each one of the Earth's spheres in a drawing that can be openly explained by students. All right, so I'm pretty sure that you would like to take a picture or you would like to take a screenshot of this information because you are going to use it later on. And here you have a summary of the activities that you need to complete. So number 1, please access the online platform. So I will make sure to give you this link right over here. So you can enter the link and then you can open the resources, especially in your book, in order to have access to the topic that you have to study today. Then I would like you to read pages from 4 to number 17. Then, after you have finished that, you need to make a drawing that represents each one of the Earth's spheres in your notebook. Remember to make your drawing in your notebook. And later on, you have to participate in the live discussion that we are going to have in Zoom. So, those are pretty much the activities that you need to complete today. If you have any questions, you can always let me know. And just as a reminder, remember that you need to make a drawing in your notebook, but your notebook needs to have a specific format. For that specific format, I added this picture right over here so you can take it into account. So first of all, at the top of the page, I'd like you to add the date. Please add today's date. Then we're going to modify it just a little bit. Then make sure to include the title of the topic. And after the title, you need to include the end in mind. Something that's very important to consider are the colors. Notice that at the top, the date, you can use any color. You can use the color you like better. But specifically for the titles and subtitles, the initial capital letter must be written down with red color. And then the other letters have to be written down with blue. In this case, it can be black or blue for the title. And that'll be about it, basically. Always remember to have that in mind, that capital letters must start with red. Then the rest of the text that you're going to have in your notebook is pretty much going to be with black, but punctuation marks and capitalized letters are going to be one more time with red. So this is just a small format that we have to work on in every single one of our classes, so you can keep it in mind. And just going back a little bit to what I was mentioning here. So notice that you have to read pages 4 to 17. In the presentation that I am about to give you, I'm going to give you, let's say, a lot of the information that you are going to find in those pages. But it's always important that you can go back and read them by yourself. So, of course, you can reinforce all of the content, and you will have much more to discuss about when we go into the live session. So, let's start with our topic. And we need to start with what on Earth? And what is the Earth system? This is something very interesting to analyze. So, a system is a group of related objects or parts that work together to form a whole. And the Earth system is all of the matter, energy, and processes within Earth's boundary. Earth is a complex system made of living and non-living things. Matter and energy continuously cycle through the smaller systems. So, of course, mainly we're going to talk about our planet. And notice that in our planet, we're going to have several systems or several objects or things that we can group into a certain group. Okay? So, we can start with the geosphere. What's the geosphere? So, it is mostly solid and it is a rocky part of Earth. And it extends from the center of Earth to the surface of Earth. And probably you have heard of this topic before, but mainly in the geosphere, we are going to find three layers. So the first one, which is right at the top, which is a very thin layer, it's called the crust. And it is made mostly of silicate minerals. And we can talk about the oceanic crust, which is about 5 to 10 kilometers thick. And we also have the continental crust that is between 35 to 70 kilometers thick. So which one is going to be larger, let's say, or which one is going to be thicker? The one from our continents. And continuing with the geosphere, right after the crust, we're going to have the second section, which is going to be the mantle. The mantle is the layer that lies below the crust, and it is about 2,900 kilometers thick. The mantle is made of very slow-flowing solid rock, consistent of silicate minerals that are denser than the silicates in the crust. So basically it means that, let's say, the harder materials are going to be found in the mantle rather than in the crust. And we're going to go with the last part, which is going to be Earth's central part. It's called the core, and it has a radius of about 3,500 kilometers. It is made of iron and nickel, and is very dense. So here you have a visual representation of what it would look like if we could actually take out a piece of our planet. So right at the top, this very thin layer that you can see with the ocean and actually a piece of land from a continent, this one is basically the crust. Then right below the crust, we are going to find the mantle with very hard materials. And lastly, we're going to find our core, which interestingly, it has a liquid and a solid part. All right, so let's continue. And when we describe the characteristics of each one of them, it can be, for example, that the crust is mainly made of a rock that is not as hard as the one from the mantle. And the oceanic crust is thinner than the one from the continents. In the mantle, it's mostly made of very hard rock, and rock that is way harder than the one in the crust. And lastly, in the core, just like I was mentioning before, it has some solid and also a liquid part. Let's continue. What is the hydrosphere? The hydrosphere is the part of Earth that is liquid water. And of course, it's going to include all of the kinds of water that we can find around. Oceans, lakes, rivers, marshes, groundwater, rain, etc., etc. And also it's going to include some clouds and droplets. And water on Earth is constantly moving. It even moves into and out of living things. Of course, let's think about this. When you drink a cup of water, a part of the hydrosphere somehow is coming inside your body. But at some point, it is going to leave your body. For example, when you are running and you transpirate because of all of the water that's coming out of your body, because it's trying to refresh all of that motion and temperature that's increasing in your body. That's just one of the examples in which water can actually leave your body again. Now let's continue with the cryosphere. The cryosphere is made up of all of the frozen water on Earth. Snow, ice, sea ice, glaciers, etc., etc. Changes in the cryosphere can play an important role in Earth's climate and species survival. So, the cryosphere is mostly going to be found at the North and South Pole, because those are both of the regions in our planet that have the lowest temperatures. So everything that is related to frozen water and ice, it's basically part of the cryosphere. And unfortunately, right now, due to global warming, a lot of species are close to extinction. For example, polar bears, they are very close to extinction because the temperature in our planet is increasing. And what happens if the temperature in our planet increases? Then what's going to happen is that the glaciers are going to melt. And since the glaciers are the main habitat of polar bears, they will have nowhere to live on. And of course, it will generate their extinction and a lot of deaths from that specific species. We also have what a gas. What is the atmosphere? The atmosphere is a mixture of mostly invisible gases that surround Earth. It extends outward about 500 to 600 kilometers from Earth's surface, but most of the gases lie within 8 to 50 kilometers of Earth's surface. The atmosphere is about 75% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% many other gases. So this is something very interesting to analyze. So first of all, let's have this concept clear. So the atmosphere is a layer of gases that is going to surround our planet. And mainly we got nitrogen as well as oxygen. But what happens with all of the human activities? What kind of gases do we produce? Well, humans mainly produce carbon dioxide. For example, when you drive a car, and it uses fossil fuels, it's going to produce carbon dioxide, which is going to go to the atmosphere. So, carbon dioxide is not part of the main gases that compose our atmosphere. So, what happens there? What happens if we add more and more gases? Well, that's going to contribute to global warming, definitely climate change, and several disasters that we have started to see nowadays. We continue with some of the atmosphere. Minor gases in the atmosphere include argon, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. But we know now that carbon dioxide is increasing due to human activities. The atmosphere contains the air we breathe, and it also traps some energy from the sun, which helps keep Earth warm enough for living things to survive and multiply. And well, scientists are theorizing that if we continue increasing the amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, then the impact of climate change is going to be way more drastic in the future. So it can even produce the extinction of humanity. Just imagine how crazy that is. But that's going to be a topic for another class. Some gases of the atmosphere absorb and reflect harmful ultraviolet rays from the sun, and protecting Earth and its living things. The atmosphere also causes space debris to burn up before reaching Earth's surface and causing harm. Okay, now we go with another system from Earth. We're going to go with the biosphere, and it is made up of living things in the areas of Earth where they are found. Organisms usually need oxygen and carbon dioxide to carry out life processes. And liquid water, moderate temperatures, and a stable source of energy are also important for those living things. So, living things, what are we mainly talking about? Animals and plants. That's pretty much it. And of course, we can include the environment where they are at. So, let's talk about some plants in Quetzaltenango. We can go directly to Santa Maria volcano. There we're going to find many animal species, like birds, probably the many different insects, plants, of course. And part of their surroundings are going to include some water, some rock. So all of that is part of the biosphere. And how do Earth's spheres interact? All of the 5 spheres of Earth interact as matter and energy change and cycle through the system. A result of these interactions is that they make life on Earth possible. Totally. So let's suppose that we don't have the geosphere. So of course, remember that basically the geosphere is all of the main composition of our planet. Then life wouldn't be able to exist. The same thing if we don't include the biosphere, which are all the living things. So we need absolutely everything in our planet in order to have the system that we have nowadays. And then let's continue with how do Earth's spheres interact? Earth's spheres interact as matter moves between them. In some processes, matter moves through several spheres. And Earth's spheres also interact as energy moves from one sphere to another and back and forth between spheres. So here's an example. So we have several energy that is going and flowing around several systems. And how many parts of the Earth systems can you identify in this image, and how do they interact? So we're going to discuss this question in our live session, guys. So remember to go back to the summary of the activities that you need to do so you are clear about everything you have to complete. Goodbye, guys, and see you in the live session in a couple of minutes.